So I call to order the Torch Lake Township regular board meeting of February 1st, 2023 at 7 p.m. Join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, board, as a reminder, and when speaking, please move close to your microphone to ensure you are heard clearly for the YouTube streaming. And I request that citizens who speak to adjust the height and stand close to the microphone. And Mike, is that one on? All right, thank you. There will be two opportunities for citizen comments. I will be requesting individuals stay within the 4 minutes in both citizen comment sections. I would appreciate everyone keeping their points concise. I would request that comments are made respectfully to the board. We are here to discuss the township's business. Citizen comments should pertain to specific issues, concerns, or policies they would like to bring to the board's attention. The documents on the website are aligned to the items on the agenda. These are draft documents to provide background information only. Motions were drafted to help the board more quickly get to the final wording and vote on the respective motions. The final motion may look different to reflect the actual action taken by the board. Next item of business is the approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes for the regular board meeting of January 17th, 2023?
Sharon's hand is up.
Sharon?
I have just one tiny minor one on, well, it's the backside. It's number 7. Just the date. It's got 2202.
It should be 2023.
It should be 2023.
Yeah. All right.
Who did these minutes?
Any other comments?
Bob, I
Yep.
want you to look at the last statement with regard to your comments about my letter to the Planning Commission.
Yep.
I mean, you were, and I'm being very open about this, you disapproved of it highly. And I think that ought to be stated in here in some way that you had a lot of, you admonished me, you whatever, but I think that's fair. I don't have any problem with disagreement, but I think it ought to be stated in here that you strongly disagreed with my sending the Planning Commission the letter that I did. And something like that anyways would be a better representation of that comment. Berate, admonish, I don't care, scold, reprimand, chastise.
It wasn't that, it was bringing it to your attention was all.
Well, I mean, it was pretty poignant, let's face it.
Well,
I mean-
you wrote the email.
Well, I
So
know,
it had to be
and
poignant.
you were pretty adamant about it, and your face was pretty red when you were giving that information. In fact, I would even recommend, because you wrote it all out, include it in the minutes. I mean, I have no difficulty with disagreement,
Well,
but I think you ought to state that in some way in this last sentence here. It does, you don't have to.
I think the public, if they want to look at it, that's fine. I mean, I can insert the words that after, as trustee to the Planning Commission, strongly disagreed, or Mr. Cook completed the meeting with his last comment, strongly disagreeing with the email of Mr. Martell. I have no problem with that. I think it's on the board. Any thoughts?
I think it would be appropriate also.
All right.
I'm just looking at where I sort of see meeting with his last comments regarding his disappointment with the email, his anger with the email. What word would we like?
I think disappointment, because I somewhat disagree that my face was red. I went back.
You
and
couldn't see your face.
Well, I went back and I listened to the tape just to make sure that I was fairly consistent in my tone in approach to the letter. So I would say, yes, I was disappointed. And I think I started that off by saying that we were not copied on that letter. So I would say, Alan, if you're in agreement with the last comment, was strongly disappointed with the email Mr. Martell sent. Is that all right?
It's fine with me. Yeah, it's your
That's fine.
change.
No, it's your change. You
Oh,
have
okay.
to.
Yeah, it's true. Well, yes, it just, again, I have no difficulty with disagreement. I mean, this was a little bit, I thought a little bit overboard, but it's beyond, that's my problem. But I think that when we disagree, it's okay to let the public know we disagree. It's
Yeah.
okay.
All right. I had a couple.
I have one more.
Go ahead.
We didn't adjourn this meeting.
Yes, we did.
I never voted.
We
Don't
had
need a
three.
vote. We just said we'd adjourn.
I
Then
just
why did,
adjourned
it
it.
says passed 5-0. I didn't vote.
That was one of my comments. It was passed with no objections.
Well, I sure wasn't paying attention. Yeah, I didn't hear
So
a
the
motion
5-0
to
was
adjourn.
Oh,
inappropriate.
yeah.
Okay, I'll remove,
I moved to adjourn the meeting
just move to adjourn,
as the
period.
chairman.
Okay,
Yeah.
good enough.
9 times out of 10, we don't have a motion, we just adjourn.
Right.
And
Yes.
it's
You sure it's 9 out of 10?
20 out of 50.
Okay.
It's a lot.
All right.
It's a lot, Alan, it is. It's a lot.
I've got any others?
Yeah, the date for, the planning commission didn't, it's too late, but the planning commission didn't meet Tuesday, February 13th. Did they? Because Tuesday was
Well,
February
this was
14th.
announcement, Kathy, for the meeting on January.
I'm reading in the minutes. I'm just looking at the minutes. Does it need to be corrected? Because
Valentine's
that
Day
date is
was-
wrong.
Yeah. What
Was
day
the 14th.
Was the 14th, yeah.
Oh, for your typing, you mean?
Planning commission Tuesday, February 13 is wrong.
Right. Make it
Shall I
14th.
correct it?
Yeah, the 14th.
Thank you. That's all I'm asking.
All right.
I know
But-
they already met or did whatever, but
But they didn't meet on the 23rd either.
This
You met
was
on the
future
24th.
meetings. This is future meetings. She took it right from the agenda,
I did.
dated January. Meeting was in January.
Oh, I see the dilemma, the problem.
Was it corrected in the meeting of January? That's,
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
And they're meeting this week on the 23rd, right? See, I'm wondering if that's where it got confused, March 23rd or,
No,
January 23rd.
the planning commission
February.
already met.
okay,
They
because
met last week.
I have it written on my calendar for the
Wow.
23rd, so
Wow.
obviously
That's wrong.
I got wrong information somewhere.
All right.
Anyway. All right, so we need a motion.
I've got a
Oh, I'm
couple.
sorry.
In the first page under minutes, third line, Andrew I thought it was Rick. Is it Andrew Lloyd?
No, that's not Loy, that's Lot.
Lot.
Lots?
Mr. Lot,
He was an employee you hired back in December.
Oh, all
and I
right.
think I wrote
That was
his
the
name.
correction.
I put his name as Matthew in the minutes,
And it should be
and
Andrew.
it should be Andrew.
That's fine. I was just verifying that.
No.
There's a typo under section E. Well, maybe not a typo, but I think the last word of that section is farther, and I think it should read further.
Not Googled, I went to spell check synonyms and I put both words in. And I made an administrative decision that this was the right
So
word.
the consensus of the board was 4-1 to pursue an ordinance farther.
Farther,
All
not
right.
further.
That's
farther.
fine.
I swear to God, I didn't know
That-
which word
that-
either.
That's fine. I just looked at it and I said, geez, it's
Farther
further.
down the road,
But I
further
guess
down the road.
farther is, there's no time frame associated with that.
I don't know. I'll make it
All right.
further. Does anyone care?
I'm done with my comments on that. Any others?
Mine was simple.
If not, I'll take a
2023.
motion.
I'll move to approve the minutes of January 17, 2023 with corrections.
I will second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Second minutes is the special meeting we had on January 31st. This was a working session. I asked Kathy to do a quick set of minutes just so that the public would know what we did. Are there any changes or comments associated with that?
No, I move to approve the minutes of January 31st, 2023 as a working session.
All right, thank you. Is there a second to that? I'll second it. Any further comment? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Did we vote on the last one?
Jess?
It was,
You made the motion.
you made the motion.
And I seconded.
And then I went to sleep, so
I'm not saying a word.
I know you are. You better not.
All right, the agenda is the next item to approve. Sharon pointed out I have a mistake. I did correct it for the audience. On the second page, future meetings, number 4, that should read Zoning Board of Appeals, Wednesday, March 15th, 2023 at 6 p.m.
Can you say it again, please?
Yes.
Number 4.
Number 4 is.
Oh, that's CBA?
Yes,
Thank
CBA, Wednesday,
Yeah.
March 15th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Thanks to Sharon for finding that.
Have they changed their time then,
6 p.m., yes.
on a regular basis?
Yes, they changed it in the bylaws.
There's 5 weeks in there, so it just, usually it's typically the day after the board meeting, but that happened to fall in the
March
week 5.
Yeah, March 1st landed on a Wednesday night,
Wednesday.
so. Any other changes to the agenda? All right, hearing none, I'll make the motion that the agenda be accepted with changes. Is there a second? Thanks. It is moved and seconded that the agenda is accepted with changes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? It is passed. Now move to the consent agenda.
Citizen comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. I gotta watch my agenda. Citizen comments, our standard beginner.
Couple things. The edge of the shoulder of Lakeshore Drive in Banks Township fell into Lake Michigan yesterday, so that was interesting. Now we're in some pretty serious discussions about moving the road, so.
Lakeshore.
Drive. It's about as far north as you can go in Antrim County.
Mhm.
I am on the mental health, North Country Community Mental Health, and they offer mental health first aid for adults and for youth. And first class is full, but it sounds like they're going to offer another one in April. I'm encouraging our undersheriff to keep moving forward with the Stepping Up program. Charlevoix County has a pretty active one, and I told him I would like Antrim County to be known for a really good program to keep troubled youth out of jail, minors. Next county commissioner meeting, Mike Merriweather, our county forester, is planning to give his annual report. So if anybody's interested in that. Central Lake Township voted to move all of their ARPA money into their roads fund, and they are hoping to repair all of Rushton Road that is in Central Lake Township this summer. That's their goal. They also are planning to have a little bit of a, I don't know, like a 3-foot shoulder on the side, paved shoulder, so that people can ride bikes or use scooters or whatever, walk along the edge of that. The mental health, again, we've seen an increase in people struggling with mental health and also with substance use disorders. So we're trying to come up with creative ways to keep both adults and children from having drug disorders and overdoses.
Can you do intervention?
I'm still learning the ropes. The North Country Community Mental Health, they have 207 employees, and their primary response is for people who are serious or in crisis. If you are mild, if you have mild problems, they can refer you to a psychologist or psychiatrist. But there's a shortage of beds for people that are in serious problems, that have serious problems in the state of Michigan. So they have an agreement where they have a certain number of beds downstate, but it's not a lot. Did that answer your question or not?
Well, it does, but you know, it's a concern of mine, looking at this MSU slaughter that was awful by that person. I was on the board of directors of St. Lawrence Hospital in Lansing at one time as representing students and teenagers. I was a teacher at the time. And sister was a Catholic hospital at the time. Sparrow bought it, Sparrow Hospital. Sister comes in at one of our meetings and says, the government has just cut out mental health. They're closing down all the institutions. And that was under John Kennedy. They closed them down and all these people went in the streets, and that's not changed.
Alan,
And then even in the most current situation, mental health is not part of the overall national priority.
Alan,
Microphone?
would you
Yeah.
speak into the microphone?
So anything that, you know, again, we have suffering folks out there, and I wish there was an alternative for them. There really isn't much. Thank you.
The only comment I made is the Central Lake High School had a open house for the drug and rehab and mental status. And it was a very good hour-and-a-half program in the school that they put it on. So thanks for anybody that helped put that on. That was very educational to me too.
Thanks.
Yeah, Scott Barrett, the Central Lake Township police officer, he had been teaching a class in Central Lake on trying to get more young people involved in firefighting, law enforcement, police officers.
It was a good panel. I kind of went for my VSU update training too. So, but besides that, there were a lot of community folks there, and it was a good presentation.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Any other citizen comment? If not,
I have one.
oh, all right.
Don't start the clock yet.
I'll wait till you get the microphone.
I just want to say first, Ralph, on the front end of this is I stand by my letter that I wrote, period. And I can talk about that in a minute. But one of the things that I have concerns about is you were upset with regard to the petition that we passed with regard to the expansion of the village business lot to over 300 feet on M88. And we put you passed it that it could be allowed, and we passed the petition to rescind that. And then at the end of that, you said, well, you won. Well, we didn't win. We disagreed with that. And the people won. The people in the North End won, because when you looked at when Dollar General wanted to come in, there were over 200 letters, emails, and speakers protesting that Dollar General. You had the same kind of retail problem if you created a possible more than 300 feet on M88 with regard to retail. And that goes back to the master plan and rural character and all those kinds of things. That's what that was about. But we became the enemy. We weren't the enemy. We disagreed. Big deal. And let's put it out to the people fairly and honestly, and let's see what they would say. With regard to my letter, I believe in a God that loves us all equally. And I believe in a constitution that identifies us all individually and equally. And all 5 of us are equal in our vote. But it's not really just us. We represent over 1,100 electorates, and there's 2,200 properties in the township. I don't know how many total owners that would be. But that's who we represent every time we vote. We don't, I try not to vote personally in terms of my self-interest kinds of things. I got to be very careful with that, and always have been. But that's what I'm saying to you, is that we can have disagreements. I don't know why we can't discuss those. I feel right now our zoning ordinance that has been rewritten is a bunch of spaghetti. It is what it is right now. And I think it's probably well written, but we got to go through that in a very careful way, whether or not we have a steering committee or not a steering committee. I'm glad that Mr. Langworth is going to be part of that. He'll help. But we got to dig through that thing and make sure it's what this community really had at the beginning, and any changes in there are something that the community understands carefully. Thank you. By the way, I got my letter here. I'll put it in the back if you want to read this letter that the board was upset about. That I sent to the planning commission. So then you want to see this dastardly document from the county.
All right, any other comments? If not, then we'll move on to consent agenda.
Do we want to introduce our undersheriff here?
If you would give me a chance. to
Oh,
let me-
okay.
I mean, you
Well,
just jumped right in there.
Well, he's
I
sitting
was going to
there.
pull the 911 report
Oh.
and introduce Kevin
Okay.
Hawk as our deputy, as our undersheriff. But since there's other items in there, I just thought I'd let the board decide if they wanted to pull anything else.
I would like to pull the clerk report for 2 seconds.
All right. Any others?
So you're pulling 911?
I'm going to pull 911,
Okay,
and we're pulling the clerk report. Any other reports? Hearing none, then all other reports are accepted by consent. We'll start with the clerk.
okay. When we went to publication on Saturday and I printed off my report, there was one major change after the report was written. And I wanted to make sure everybody realized on page 2, about 2/3 of the way down, you'll see a check written for $1,047, and it was written to VC3. And if you're not aware, VC3 is IT Right is now VC3. Anyway, that check was voided and was reissued on the addendum that you have tonight. So there were not actually 2 checks written to VC3. It just doesn't say void on my report. So it is a void check. That's it. And then it was reissued.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, Kevin, if you'd like to take us through the 911 report and anything else you may have for the community.
Hello, I am Kevin Hoke. I'm the newly appointed undersheriff for the Sheriff's Office of Antrim County. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. I appreciate your time. I just want to go over a few numbers with the Sheriff's Office, and the first numbers I want to go over is going to be the year-end report for 2022. 911 checks, we had 105 in Torch Lake Township. Alarms, we had 38 in the township. We had 1 verbal argument in the township, 1 B&E, in progress. We had 41 car deer crashes in the township. We had 3 domestic assaults in the township. And we had 27 general assists. And what I mean by a general assist, if someone's on the side of the road that needs some assistance, they call 911 or they call the non-emergency phone number, and they have a deputy come out, sit with them, maybe till a tow truck comes out, someone that's not familiar with the area. Larcenies, we had 6 for the township for Torch Lake. We had 8 Marine Patrol complaints, 25 marine stops. We had 1 OWI/OUID that's operating on the influence of drugs. It's either one of those. They just put them together. We had 25 suspicious situations in the township. We had 73 traffic stops in Torch Lake Township and 20 wellness checks for a total of 883 complaints for Torch Lake Township for the year of 2022. For January of 2023, we had 7 911 checks. We had 2 car deer crashes. We had 1 general assist for January. We had 3 personal injury crashes in the township. We had 5 traffic stops for a total of 46 complaints for just January of 2023. For Torch Lake for 2021, there was 915 complaints for that year. 2022, again, it was 883, with a difference of 32 complaints that you were down, which is good, very good. A couple of things I'd like to go over with our sheriff's office. First, I want to thank Commissioner Rubin for the assistance on trying to get us out of our old squad room and getting us in the health department. We're all working very diligently trying to get that taken care of the deputies and for the administration office. It's going to be a breath of fresh air. Thank you.
What do you mean? You're moving inside the walls here? Are you?
What they're doing, they're working on getting a plan together for the health department. Part of the health department we're going to be in with the sheriff's office. The other part, that's like a quarter of it, is part of the health department is going to stay in there.
Is that in the annex or is it upstairs?
Nope, that's going to be a completely separate building
Okay.
than the sheriff's office. It says health department on it. So,
Nice.
for our dispatchers, we're 1 down right now. We're looking for a dispatcher. Anybody interested? We're currently down about 2 corrections officers. Anybody interested in being a corrections deputy? Road patrol, we are just about to our max of 23.
Cool.
We have 2 that are in the police academy right now. We're sponsoring 1, and the other one is going to graduate in May, along with the other one that we did not sponsor. He's out of NMC. The one we're sponsoring is out of Kirtland. They're both doing very, very well. Very well. We're very, very happy, and we can't wait to get them out on the road and get in their training, field training, which will be about 3.5 months, and with a field training officer. Our Marine Patrol, we're going to have our 8 deputies or seasonal officers returning. We did do an interview on 1 the other day, and he did a great job. He's a naval man, retired out of the Navy, and he's got nothing else going on apparently. So we're glad to have him. Dive team. We are currently, I just appointed Sergeant Charlie LePan with the road patrol. He's going to be my dive team leader. And we just appointed Deputy Nehemiah Pro. They're going to do a great job.
Great.
Currently, right now, we did have 36 inmates in our county jail. We're now at 31. So there was some, with COVID that came across, there was some issues, obviously, trying to keep things at a minimum. We are open. Our jail is open. And like I said, we do have 31 inmates. And also, to go back, if I could talk about real quick about mental awareness, along with the commissioner, I'm huge on mental awareness. I think it's a real problem that we need to come together and help out, especially with our young people, as the commissioner said. We need to get some training out there. I'm trying to get some training for my deputies for next month. I got some core training coming up. I have community mental health coming in. They're going to give us a training part of the day, just some cues to look for. There's some young adults and adults that just need some assistance and some help. Jail's not always the decision to do on that sometimes. So, any questions from the board?
Just one quick question. Where's the dive team out of?
Dive team is out of with the sheriff's office.
All
We
right.
are also currently, we will be with the mutual aid dive team. We've always been part of the mutual aid. So our 2 divers, they will be part of the mutual aid, and they will respond to trainings. They will respond to, most likely it's going to be recovery. We don't have an emergency response with the sheriff's office or with mutual aid.
Okay. Thank you.
My only comment is thank you for continuing with the VSU and supporting that.
That's a huge thing. VSU, our community needs that. It's a big help.
Push that at with any of your public townships that you go to. Keep pushing it.
Well, we appreciate VSU. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate your
Kevin.
time.
All righty.
you.
All right, I will make the motion to accept the clerk and 911 reports. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All
I'll
right.
second it.
The motion has been made to accept the clerk and 911 reports, and it was seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is passed. Moving on, special reports. Planning Commission. Jason.
Yeah, I was unable to attend last month's meeting, but I do know that they're working hard on getting the sign ordinance taken care of.
Yep.
We got a special meeting coming up to finalize all that, so
Well, that meeting, I think, was canceled.
the special one is?
Yeah, we didn't get a quorum, so I think it's going to fall back to the regular
March 15th,
14th
14th.
meeting.
Okay.
Yep. All right, thank you, Kathy.
Well, let me ask a question then. If we're working on our zoning ordinance, but we're still passing new ordinances
No,
as well, or trying to pass ordinances?
no, this is the review of the rewrite that Sarah undertook with the support of the steering committee. So the planning commission is now going into reviewing that rewrite, and they will be setting up, their next meeting should include a public hearing for that specific ordinance.
Okay, so they're looking at the rewrite for the sign. ordinance.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
Got it.
There was an update in the law on that, Kathy, which we didn't have. And that's part of that, why that's out there now.
Okay, okay. I just was thinking it wouldn't make sense to continue passing ordinances if we're going to be
No, we understand that.
working on it.
There may be, given that we know this is going to take some time with, I think there's 14 chapters. And, right now they'll be going on their third meeting for the sign ordinance. So we know it's going to take some time. So there may be some Band-Aid changes that come along. But we'll let the planning commission decide what they need to do on those. And I know Sarah's very active in bringing that to their attention. All right. Kathy, FOIA?
Yeah, the one and only FOIA that has been on hold has finally, the FOIA itself hasn't happened, but what was preventing it was needing the election to be certified. And with all the recounts and all the everything, it is finally now certified. So I can open the ballot container. What the FOIA person wants to do is take a photograph of every ballot, front and back, from that election. But the hold was that I couldn't open the ballot container.
Right.
Now I can. So he and I have spoken, but we have not set up a date to do this yet.
All right. Good. All right. As far as the finance goes, the package is there. As I've indicated in the past, the detailed financial report is on the website. Any questions regarding the financials can be directed either to myself or the clerk's office. At a high level, revenues are ahead of budget by $450,000, primarily because there was no budget for road revenue as we waited to see if the new millage would be passed. Expenses are over budget by $233,000. That is a result of the purchase of the ambulance for $311,000. And fire expenditures were over $76,000, while offsetting it was that the general fund right now is positive by $188,000. Looking at a year-over-year comparison, revenue was ahead by $318,000, but expenses were $700,000 higher. The $700,000 is based upon three things. First, road work was 338,000 higher than what we had in the prior year. The prior year, we only spent $13,000. The ambulance purchase and fire capital expenses, those were the key drivers to get to the 700,000. Details are on the website, and they will be under the file that is under the meeting-related documents for this meeting. The file is line item detail of the financials. You can go on the website and look at line item detail for it. Cash remains strong at over 2.3 million per the treasurer's report, and that finishes my report. We have no old business. We have 3 items for new business. Item number 1 relates to, we recently passed the payroll schedule for 23-24. During the past month, I've had a couple discussions with people about doing different work that would fall under the new budget category of clerical assistant. With the price at only $16 an hour, people tended not to be excited about that, especially if it was required a little more skill set than the $16 that we had originally, which was minimal clerical assistance in the clerk's office. So my only question is, can we add an amendment to that schedule to give a range so that we have some flexibility? The board will ultimately still have the responsibility of approving anybody that is assigned to the clerical assistant, and we would be able to ask the question, what's involved in the work and how is that related to the pay that they request? So I'm just asking for an increase from the existing $16 to a range of $16 to $21. So board, your thoughts?
And that's under the title clerical assistant,
Under
correct?
the new budget, correct.
It's a new 101 account number,
That he's asking for.
correct, Bob?
Yeah,
Yes.
yep.
Just so Kathy, I don't know Kathy.
Kathy was involved in
Well-
that discussion when we were looking at that over the
Okay.
budget. We had to insert a new line item for it because it moved out of the
Right.
clerk's.
I don't know if she knew that I added that new account
Yeah,
number in
okay.
there.
So
All right.
you would, Bob,
Yes,
you're changing, on the proposed wage schedule, then this clerical assistant would be, you'd have a dash there, $21?
I would add a -21.
And this based on experience or that kind of?
Well, it would be based on the job content and the individual's experience.
So currently on the schedule, Alan, it's just $16 on the,
I see that.
yeah.
Any thoughts, other thoughts, board? All right, if not, I would
What,
enter,
what's the second part of this, though? To add a grant coordinator
that's-
position?
correct. Thanks, Kath. The other item, let's see. No, there's no other, no other request.
Well-
What are you asking? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, all right, I deleted that.
Yeah,
Remember?
Right.
That motion was, I took that off.
right. It should end at 21 and the
Yep.
remainder isn't there.
Yep.
Because that range should cover any of that, because there's no
Yeah, I've got to look.
job description for
I've
that.
got to look at theirs. I've got to look at your motions because I rewrite the things.
Yeah,
all right, so the motion ends at $21,
No, I got it. I got the old copy.
correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. That's good.
Will somebody?
I'll make the motion. Do you want me to read the motion again?
Yes, please.
Make the motion to amend the Torch Lake Township pay schedule for the fiscal year 2023, 2024, as approved by the board on January 17th of 2023, to revise the pay for the clerical assistant 101 count number from $16 to a range of $16 through $21 range.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I added that 101 in there.
Yeah, you did.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jason. The motion has been made as presented
101,
and
101.
seconded. You all set, Kathy?
I am.
All right. Kathy, would you have a roll call vote, please?
I will. Mr. Martell?
Wait just a minute, Bob. On
Okay.
your proposal in our agenda, it says 14 to 20. Is that different?
That's something else. That's current wage right now, Alan. This is for the new coming in the new fiscal year.
Okay, so this is going to be something that'll happen until we end this fiscal
Correct.
year? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it won't start till the next fiscal year.
It'll start in April 1 of the fiscal year.
Wait a minute. You have one here that says
That's current,
current, and then you have another one over here.
will be fiscal year.
Well, there's two motions.
I see that, but then what I'm saying is this second one has to do with, you're going to pay a little bit more just until the end of March.
Correct. But
All
that's the
right.
next motion.
That's all I need. Yep, thank you.
All right, you're up first for voting.
Oh, you want to, yes.
All right.
Myself, yes. Sharon?
Yes,
Jason?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Motion is approved, 5-0.
Thank you, board.
I should say 101, 101.
All right, Alan, we'll jump to the next item. And it's basically the same thing, that if something comes up between now and the end of March, which isn't that long, I was looking just to adjust that rate to go from $14 to a range of 14 to 20.
And that's our current budget range.
So if that's all right, then I will make the motion amending the Torch Lake Township pay schedule for the fiscal year 2022-2023 as approved by the board on January 18th of 2022 to revise the pay for the clerical assistant from $14 to a range of $14 to $20. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jason.
I started writing my name.
The motion has been made and seconded as presented. Kathy, would you do a roll call vote,
I
please?
will. I'm starting this one. I will say yes. Sharon?
Yes,
Excuse me. Bob?
Yes,
Alan?
Yes?
And Jason?
Yes.
thank you, board.
Motion is approved, 5-0.
Last item. This item was tabled at our last, or actually pulled, I think the minutes said tabled, but for two items, Alan had a very good point in that we didn't have any language in there about canceling the contract, and there wasn't a rate stated for non-auditing work. So on the second page of the contract, halfway down through the page, it states that the additional work will be between $80 and $340, depending upon what that work is. And then the paragraph under that talks about parties can mutually agree to sever the agreement. Any questions on the contract?
I'd like to make the motion to approve the contract of Baird, Cotter, and Bishop as the township auditors for the years and costs not to exceed for 2023 at $5,975, 2024 audit, $6,200, and 2025 audit at $6,500, In addition, they can provide accounting support at a rate between 80 and 340 based on the expertise required.
Thank you. Is there a second? I'll second it. Motion has been
Can-
moved and seconded as presented.
Can we have discussion, please?
Sure.
Yeah.
Since we made a point of adding the ability to terminate it, do we need that to be included in our motion?
Not as long as it's.
No, it's in the contract.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
That 80 and 340, that's an hour.
That's an hour.
That's for heavy duty.
He called them back because he thought it was a typo.
I thought, I figured accounting 34 to 80, that seems kind of reasonable. No. So I'm assuming they do a lot of complicated tax work.
I want to be an auditor for $340 an hour.
That is
Do I have the skills?
big
No.
city complete audits.
Yeah. So the motion has been made and seconded as presented. Kathy, roll call vote, please.
You're first.
Yes.
Alan,
Yes?
Jason,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
and myself, yes. This motion is approved 5-0.
Kathy, you shouldn't ask me questions.
I'm
If you
your
don't want
straight
to-
man, man.
I
give you
know.
all the
Can you
lines.
Just lay them up.
Can you forward me a clean copy of this?
Yes.
To so I can keep a copy of my
Yep.
records? Thank you.
Yep. All right. Thank you, board. We'll move on to board discussion. Again, these are items presented for our discussion, no action to be taken. I gave you a number of examples of townships that have credit cards, and quite honestly, we're at this point now that a number of our vendors will not accept checks. They want a credit card. Simply Safe is a perfect example, and right now we're paying Simply Safe for the security cameras out of the South Station with one of my credit cards. So I think the township,
Yeah.
right now,
And you have to ask me for a refund.
I know. I gotta submit that invoice pretty soon. But I think it's time we address that. And so I wanted to bring the board's attention, get your feelings if you're in agreement that we should proceed. If you are, then I will work with Sharon to call through these various items. Trent, our auditor, presented a proposal of the language that one township used as a resolution. And we would define what the policy would be, what the parameters would be, how much we would put as a credit limit, who could use it, how they use it.
Am I mistaken? Didn't we have a credit card? Ever? Okay.
We have charge accounts like Staples.
Yeah.
Um,
But I thought there was a card. Okay.
Nope, they're like vendor credit cards, like a
Vendor specific. You can't
Meeting,
use the Sam's
Menards,
card for-
Staples. They're for those particular vendor stores, but not one, we wouldn't have one credit card for that Safe Flight or whatever that's
Simply
called.
Safe.
Yeah. I
We don't
mean,
have a Visa MasterCard.
So you're basically going to work out a way to do this.
Right. So I wanted to get your feedback if you're in agreement for us to proceed and putting something together for the next meeting, we'll do that.
What are some of the problems with having a credit card?
I would
Problems
say
is-
misuse.
Yeah. it would-
Well,
if-
misuse
if
and
you
getting
don't-
it back, losing it.
We gotta
Well, it depends. The card should not leave the building. Basically, the card would be used for the vendors that will not accept the check.
Oh,
I don't,
It could leave the building
It
if you had
could.
to go pick up uniforms or
there was an.
so
Whatever.
like our accounts at Menards or account at Eastport Market would stay the same. They would
Right,
tell us.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. And that would be, Alan, that would be part of the procedures on how it works. So once we come through, we'll go through and see how other townships do it.
the good thing with having the Visa MasterCard type of credit card is that you'll get a statement and you'll be able to see that statement, and all receipts need to come in and match that statement. And the card would have to be checked in or checked out. it'd have to be used, it's be under full control. Believe me, it will be under full control. So,
Airline tickets to Honolulu.
no.
We won't tell them if you use it.
One way, Alan, don't come back.
All right, so we will, I don't hear an objection. Jason, any thoughts?
I went through it and looked at it. There's some
Good.
good points in all of them.
All right.
There's a lot of samples, big, long samples to short ones. We can customize it and have the auditor look at it too, because I would want him to approve what we're looking at too, so, besides the board.
So when he suggests, he definitely would have an issue with the use of a credit card without a policy.
Correct.
Oh,
So we
yes.
would write a policy that goes into our policy handbook,
Exactly. Exactly.
and who sets that part up?
That's what I wrote in there with Sharon, and I would bring it to the board for their
Okay.
approval.
But I mean, well, okay, never mind.
I don't think we need 5 people trying to write the policy for the credit card.
No,
Okay.
that's not what I was asking. Who's going to put it in the book?
The clerk's office.
I thought maybe.
Well, you're in charge of the records.
But everybody's policy books are in their own possession.
Well, then it would be
So
easy
send
to
it out to them, right?
either send it to them or put in their mailbox.
Okay,
Okay?
worrying about nothing.
All right, second one is, I had Bert Thompson come into the office a couple weeks ago. And we went through our road work, and he is going to take a second pass at it to reevaluate the roads. I will be going with him on that. One of the roads that he identified that is in need of repair is the upper portion of Barnes. And he told me that basically Antrim County doesn't have any extra money for the next 5 years. All of the dollars are committed for, and we are not on that list. So again, it's a discussion. I believe when we did the millage, that it talks about township public roads, not township roads, since we don't own the township roads. Bert is suggesting that we carve out some dollars out of our fund to take care of the upper portion of that. So that's point number one that we're going to need to consider. Point number two is that I have been receiving an email from one of our citizens related to I'm trying to think of the name,
Stone Circle.
Stone Circle.
Oh,
I
that's not-
mentioned that at our last meeting.
Okay.
Old Estates, what's the?
Old Mission Estates.
Old Mission Estates. They are concerned, they now have 19 homes on a dirt road, and they would like us to finish that road. And I have basically said, to redo a road is roughly $180,000 to $2.25, and for a mile, and they're at 0.9 miles. And I told her between that and the potential costs of Barnes and the regular work we were going to do, including the consideration of Stone Circle, we have roughly $550,000 this year. $246,000 is carryover from this fiscal year, because of course we'll have nothing spent between now and the end of the year. And then we'll get roughly $311,000, I think $308,000, something like that, in the new calendar year. And again, the timing of that will be in December, so we'll be borrowing from the general fund to get us through the summer to pay for the work. But I'm only advising you that at this point, we have 3 roads that we're not going to get any help from the county for a long time. So as a board, we're going to have to decide, do we address those issues this year or the next fiscal year, or space them out and do some of the other roads? we'll have to figure that out when I get the report from Bert as to what he thinks can be done on the roads. When Bill and I did this, we basically took, in most cases, the worst case scenario for our estimate. So it's possible Bert would have ways in which he could fix some of the roads for 10 or 15 years at less cost than what we had in the budget. So that's to be a continued discussion. Bert will give us until the early part of our fiscal year, end of March, early April, to make any decisions on our road work. So as soon as I get his report, that will be on the docket, and we'll have to decide what we want to do with our money for this coming fiscal year. Again, as I said, we'll have $550,000 to work with. So we'll see what Bert comes back with as to what needs to be fixed. Thoughts?
No, I agree. He spent a lot of time here, so his expertise is what I value.
Yep. Alan, thoughts?
No, when we were talking about the road millage, there was some left over. I forget how much we had. It would produce more money than we needed on the study before we passed it or proposed it. And that was going to be used for the dirt roads that we have. And Old Michigan Estates is all dirt. It is true. There's homes going in there a lot. That's been sitting. That's a little jewel that's been sitting there for a long time because they have two accesses to Lake Michigan. It's a mess right now. Of course, all the dirt roads are a mess. And so, yeah, something, even if they got a start, that we could do a lesser paving than what you did on Golden Beach Drive, and then put them on the next spin when the millage runs out. I mean, it's a good road. It's not like it's not junky or anything, but to build that kind of a base. From what I know about Old Michigan Estates, it's high and sandy. It was a beech maple forest when that thing got started, which is high sandy soil, well drained. And so it would hold up to a more modest kind of paving. Well, that's my opinion, except maybe Bert might know this when he looks at the south end of that subdivision. It might be a little wet down there. But, and that's the other thing I will tell you when you're looking. One side of the road, you're going to see swamp, and the other side of the road, you're not. And that's because that's where it ended. Where they put the road is where the good soil ended.
Oh, okay.
And okay. Yeah, I mean, our citizens want good roads. There's been no question about that from them.
We had a lot of support for the millage. So, Jason, any thought?
No, I agree. Barnes Road's terrible. There's about 300 feet that really only needs to be repaired.
Right.
As far as the Old Mission Shores, I would like to know how many are there all year long and how many residents are just there for 5-6 months. And I also would like to know how I get my road added on there.
You guys speak up. I think yours
Mine
is a
too.
private road, isn't it?
Well, I've been told that, but we have regular green or county signs, street signs on there, so I don't know.
Come on. Maybe you stole those street signs from somewhere.
Private signs are usually blue, am I correct?
Yep.
These are green. I want some pavement.
All right. Kath, your thoughts?
Excuse me. I agree with everything everybody has said so far.
Right.
We know the citizens want roads. We know it's going to cost. That's why we did a millage. We just have to decide and prioritize, and that'll be the hardest part.
Yeah, to your point, Alan, Stone Circle has that really big dip, and that road's already potholed pretty well. They got construction stuff going on, so. All right, as soon as I get Bert's report, I'll be back to the board. That takes care of that.
Comments about that?
Hmm?
Did you have anything?
I
We'll go
started it.
to information only. First item, We were denied the $145,000 request we had made to the DNR. There's going to be multiple opportunities. We will continue to put our foot in the water. There were 460 plus submissions throughout the state. The request for those exceeded 280 million. And they ended up passing 14 items, were approved for $14 million. And I think one of those items was a local area.
Elk
And they,
Rapids.
well, Elk Rapids got one, but I saw it was on the news they got $1 million for a bike path or something. So it's interesting how the dollars were, but we got some feedback and we are slightly high on per capita income. So we've got to figure out how to make our presentations. Second item, the boat launch. I'm just going to ask if anybody has or knows of a good engineering firm. If we, in the budget, we put in dollars for fixing that boat launch. I would like to get an engineer to look at that. And if somebody has a name, give me the name so we can bring them in and see what we can do. And then I'll bring a contract if we get to that point. Third item, basically I wanted to improve the income from interest. Right now, I'm estimating that we're going to earn roughly $16,000 on interest income on a average balance of $2.3 million, which Sharon and I have talked about it. We're going to address that, and we will come back to the board in March and tell you how we're going to do that. And Acumed has sent us a new schedule. But what I found out was, Alan, in 2019, the board passed billing rate for the residents, and we have not been renewing or bringing that up for vote since 19. So Mike and I are going to sit down and look at that and see what we ought to be charging, at least on a fee basis. And then, of course, that gets monitored by the insurance companies and copay and all that other stuff. But I will be bringing that information to the March meeting.
If I remember right, unless they carry, they don't charge. Something like that. If they come to your house and you fell down, but you're okay, and they don't carry you, they don't charge.
Yeah,
These are run fees. I think we're talking
Yeah,
about
talking
run
all run
fees.
These are run fees,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
All right, so that concludes that board. So moving on, citizen comment. Anyone like to make any further comments? If not, then board comment, and I'm going to start to my right. Alan?
Yeah.
Jason?
I'm good.
Kathy?
My first question is, did everybody receive my email?
Yes.
I know you're the only one that responded.
Kathy, I still don't have the setup. You had said you would get it set up, and I don't have it. And I don't know why it even went away.
Okay, so you did not receive my email. Did you receive my email? Did you receive my email? Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I'm not bringing that up tonight. I'm assuming that the place to bring that up is at the annual meeting. I'm, Alan, going to ask the board to reconsider my salary for next year.
Okay.
And I outlined several reasons why. So
I will call you, we'll pick a time and I'll come in and get you said you had a way for me to do it. I'll bring in my computer and we'll see what we need to do.
Okay, well, it's an IT right thing. It's a VC3 thing. So I promise I will take care.
All right. Sharon?
I have nothing.
All right. I only want to reiterate that we've got our annual and budget meeting on March 7th at 6 p.m. No regular meeting after that. My budget presentation is on the website first page, upper right-hand corner. You can download it, review it, and if you have any questions before the meeting, great. If you want to hold them till the meeting, that's up to you.
You said no regular meeting. The regular meetings scheduled at our regular board
Right,
meeting date.
March
This is just an
21st.
annual meeting and budget hearing.
Budget meeting, right. Well, no, we will review the budget and then we do the resolutions for the budget at the regular meeting on the 21st. If not, then I'll make the motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in
At
favor, say aye.
8:06.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
8:06.
Thank you, board.
Wow, that one needs to go in the record book. That's a good one.